balance and waltz, balance and waltz. The Catherine Murray tune. Waltz and balance. The Yale balance. Waltz, 2, 3, and balance.
Catherine Murray is now dancing with Arthur Murray.
During the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, Arthur and Catherine Murray were social and ballroom dancing in America. Thanks to their mail-order business, franchise dance studios, and a highly rated network television series, the Murrays' reputation and celebrity was unsurpassed. Just like today, Americans wanted to learn more about their favorite personalities. And one of the most talked about television programs of the era often satisfied that thirst for knowledge. Edward R. Murrow was a celebrity in his own right. A stalwart of the CBS News operation, Murrow also had a softer side, and he was fascinated with successful people. On December 30th, 1955, Arthur and Catherine Murray appeared on Murrow's groundbreaking primetime program, Person to Person.
Arthur Murray, if he has to, can teach you dancing in a hurry. He's been doing it for about 35 years, and he's made it big business. He has some 400 studios scattered throughout the world. Last year, his students spent $45 million learning to dance in various degrees of haste. Arthur Murray, who is 60 years old, has taught many millions to dance, not only in person, but by mail, books, and television. It was television that made Arthur's wife, Catherine Murray, such a well-known personality. The Arthur Murrays live in this apartment house on Park Avenue here in New York City. They've lived in the same place for about 14 years. I think Catherine told me once they're just too lazy to move. Is that right?
Well, I don't know whether I put it that way, Mr. Burrow, but, you know, there are just two of us now, and a small apartment is sort of fun. And we're happy here, so I think it's better to stay.
Are you all ready to greet the new year?
Well, I think we're celebrating a New Year's by having you as a visitor with all of your viewers. Big thrill.
Thank you very much.
Well, tomorrow morning we'll go off to Florida for a few days.
Oh, good. I envy you. Tell me, I'm not much of a dancer, so suppose one of you tells me, what's so much fun about it anyway?
Mr. Murrow, you mean you don't dance at all?
No, I don't. Never learned.
Well, you know, Arthur told me there were people like that. I never believed it.
Well, really, what is so much fun about dancing now?
Well, you might try first by putting your right arm around a pretty girl and maybe listen to the music and just take things naturally.
Yeah, but why walk about while the arm is about the pretty girl? Is this necessary?
Well, it's a good excuse anyway.
Tell me, do you two dance much together?
Well, yes and no. I say yes, Catherine says no.
But Mrs. Murray, you do approve of a husband and wife dancing together, don't you?
Approve of it?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I approve of it. I just don't seem to expect it very often.
Mr. Murray said you were off to Florida shortly. You won't be sorry to have a few days in the sun, will you?
Well, it'll be fun to be in the sun, although we'll also be down there on business. But, you know, when you live in New York and you live in a small apartment like this, you do have the urge to have air and sunshine and a garden like I used to have. You notice in the apartment here I have plants. I sort of pretend that this is my garden.
Uh-huh.
And thanks to you, Mr. Murrow, we really have charming flowers tonight. The roses are beautiful, thank you.
Good. Mr. Murray, just how did you get into the dancing business anyway?
Well, Ed, that's a long story. It happened almost 45 years ago when I was about 15.
Uh-huh.
And you know, when you're 15 years old, you like girls who are 15.
Yes?
But unfortunately, I did dance well, and the girls didn't like me. I remember once when I danced at a settlement house on the east side, in the middle of the dance, the girl left me abruptly and said, "You dance like a truck." And there I was, standing alone, very much embarrassed. I determined right there and then that I was going to learn to dance. Of course, I couldn't afford to take lessons, so I went to all of the weddings in the neighborhood. I crashed the weddings and I danced with every wallflower. And a year later, I went back to that settlement house. They were having a dancing contest, and I won that contest. And from then on, I stayed with dancing.
Well, tell me this, Arthur. What makes a good dancer?
Did you say what or who?
What?
Well, I think everything being equal, provided they all know enough steps, the person with the best personality is the one who is going to be the best dancer, and that's why I think you should take up dancing.
Look out, Mr. Morrow. He'll sell you a course before you know it.
Well, I'm told it takes an hour for each year to learn to dance, and I just couldn't spend the hours. I wanted to ask you...
you only need 30 years.
No, a few more than that. What would you say is the most common mistake dancers make?
Well, speaking for the men, the mistake that they can dance after 2 drinks.
Well, I think I'll speak for the women. Is that all right for me to talk out?
Yes, certainly.
I think too many women try to be light as a feather, and they think, well, I'll relax. And as they relax, they collapse, and they become very heavy. I think that a man would rather dance with a spirited partner, you know, little life and pep.
Uh-huh. Now, in working with your husband, you must meet all sorts of interesting people, don't you?
Oh, you mean among the students?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I meet people in all sorts of professions, statesmen, doctors, scientists, and I think the most interesting ones are those who are creative, you know, like writers and artists and sculptors. I want to show you this. I got it for Christmas. It's a very charming, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Very charming bronze figurine of a dancer, and it was made by a woman who is better known to you as the wife of a famous man. But you see, she's a creative artist herself, and very delicate, lovely piece.
It is
made
lovely.
by Mrs. David Sarnoff.
Most attractive. Mrs. Murray, has your life changed very much since you've been on television?
My life?
Yes.
Yes, I think it has, because now when I walk down the street, lots of people that I don't know, including taxi drivers, yell, "Hi, Catherine." They always call you by your first name.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I've been in their living room when they were relaxed and they had their shoes off, so they know me pretty well. Besides, I especially like it now. I don't know how to put it, but I think I used to be known as Arthur's wife, and now sometimes he's known as Catherine's husband.
Well, Catherine's husband, who makes the better student, the man or the woman?
Well, I think women learn faster, but men like dancing more than women do.
You mean more men take lessons?
More men take lessons.
No wonder Arthur likes men students.
Well, is that because
Can
the
I
men...
just tell you something, Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Bob Hope told us one time about a man student of ours, and the man said to Bob, you know, I've spent $1,000 at Arthur Murray's just to make me popular. And Bob said, well, are you popular? And the man said, well, Arthur Murray loves me.
If you can really teach dancing in a hurry, this must make it a little less painful, doesn't it?
Well, that depends on the teacher. If you have a pretty teacher, it's never painful.
All right. What is the current rage in dancing, or dances, I should say?
Well, right now there are 2. There's the merengue and the cha-cha. The merengue is for the older people, and the cha-cha is for the younger people. Would you like to see these dances?
Yes, I recognize the names, but beyond that I can't go. I'd love to see them.
Well, Catherine, if you put on the record, I'll move the furniture back,
You
and
mean
we'll
you
do the
trust me to
merengue.
put on a Victrola record? That's wonderful.
The merengue is a very easy dance. It was originated in Haiti and in the Dominican Republic. It's nothing but a walking step with a lame duck movement. Let me show it to you. You ready, Catherine? This is the forward movement.
Uh-huh.
And here's the side step. And the turn. They're all walking steps, so it's easy to learn.
that all I get?
Well, now that I have been checked out on the Maranga and know all about it, what about the cha-cha? Was that it?
Well, will you put a record on?
Oh,
for the
Mr.
cha-cha?
Murrow, if you ask him to dance with me too often, I'll get a bill tomorrow.
The cha-cha is another version of the rumba. Actually, it comes from the mambo, which it came from the rumba. And let me show it to you. Silly, isn't it?
It can be sillier, too.
Thank you.
How
Now, the
it-
mambo looks difficult, but actually it's very easy. All you have to do is count 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
It looks so easy when you know how to do it.
Three.
Tell me, Mr. Murray, are you permitted to criticize your wife's dancing?
I'm permitted, but if I did, I'd probably have my neck broken.
But you used to give her lessons, didn't you?
I gave her one lesson when we were married 30 years ago. Never since. I've learned better.
Well, with the new year only a few hours away, perhaps you've given some thought to a resolution or two, have you?
Well, you know, I have.
All right.
And actually, I practiced it tonight because this is the first time in 30 years that I've let Arthur talk without interrupting him. That was my New Year's resolution.
What about you, Arthur?
Well, I think I'm going to let Catherine have a way from now on.
Oh, don't you believe that?
Well, thank you very much, Catherine and Arthur Murray, for letting us come and visit you. It's been very pleasant indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Murrow, for coming. We enjoyed it, and Happy New Year.
Good night, and a Happy New Year to you. Good night.
As America watched the Arthur Murray Party on television, the company's dance studio business boomed. During the party's 10-year run, new students flocked to Arthur Murray Studios at an average rate of 2,000 a week. But for Arthur and Catherine Murray's students, dancing often became more than just a fun way to pass the time.
While I was in New York University, during my university years, whenever you turn on TV, there was Catherine Murray. And I said, well, why don't we get a try? So looking to the yellow book, there was. So my sister and I, we did go to Arthur Murray's studio for a while. And after college, I continued on to pursue my dancing interest. It sort of helped me to set up new goals in my life and new challenges. I think the best way to put is keeping me engaged in meeting new challenges and set new goals. And it's such an achievement. And plus the glamour side, and then I go into competition, meet different kind of people. It just been a fun part of my life.
It's very intimidating. You walk into a studio and it's full of mirrors on a huge floor and lots of people. And when I tell you that I was shy, you're going to laugh. But I was, and in my private life, I'm still shy. It was very scary. So someone came to me and said, well, would you like to learn to dance? And I said, tango and waltz, because those are the two names that I knew. That's all I knew about dancing. So that's how I got started. And then my teacher had suggested that I should try to be a teacher because I learned very fast. And I said, no, I couldn't do that. He said, yeah, you could. You're really driving this car. She's just enjoying the ride. So now we're going to teach you how to be sexy, okay? So I went on the lessons, and I was teaching lessons and saying to myself, I have to sell lessons, I have to sell lessons. And obviously I never did. So after 6 months, they called me in the office and they said, you're not meant for this job, and you better look for another job because you speak 5 languages. You can go to the UN, you can do something like that. So I said, there's another studio here in New York, another Arthur Murray studio, may I go there? And they said, sure. So I went there, and that's when Mr. Murray was himself. And he interviewed me. And he said, why did you leave Fifth Avenue? And I said, I didn't leave Fifth Avenue, I was fired. And he said, why? I said, because I'm shy and I can't sell. He said to me, I am shy too, and I will never fire you for being shy. But he said, when you walked into my studio, what does my canopy say? I said, your canopy says Arthur Murray School of Dance. He said, it doesn't say Arthur Murray School of Sales, does it? I said, no. He said, you'll never have to sell. You just give good lessons. And if you give good lessons, your students will want to stay on and continue taking lessons. And that was the best advice I ever heard. And I never had any more pressure. I felt comfortable. He said, just keep working on your dancing and become the best dancer you possibly can, and life will be in your hands.
The new April issue of Woman's Home Companion has the story of my life, with all the pictures like way back when I was just 4 years old. When I was 4, I had a very serious look indeed, didn't I? I remember when I used to look out of my window and watch the backyard next door where the couples were having a lawn party. That was the castle walk they were doing. Because this character coming forward now is a favorite of mine. That was my Uncle Joe. Oh, Uncle Joe loved to dance. He was mad about the hesitation waltz. He was quite a character. Yes, I think he was the Fancy Dan of those days. I'm sorry I was too young for the hesitation waltz, but there were other dances. And when I got to be a flapper of 14, well, this is what I looked like. Here I am with my brother Norman. Oh, I know, I didn't look... I do look a little funny. My hair looked a mess, but they didn't have Liquinette in those days. But they did have a wonderful dance band. Yes, it was the tango. And Rudolph Valentino started the craze for it. Gee, I fell madly in love with Valentino, along with about 1 million other girls. Do you blame me? But then when I was 18, I met a real-life dancer, and he knew a step or two also. And that was Arthur Murray. And this is the way we looked when we went to Europe on our honeymoon. It was supposed to have been a very nice hat I had then, but, oh, that was way back in 1925, the days of Prohibition, in fact. And they used to have speakeasies. Gee, you had to be known to get in a nightclub then. And it was the days of the raccoon coat. Gee, get a load of him. Wow. And inside the nightclub, they were dancing, a flat bottom. And there was always a hostess in every nightclub. Oh, yes, there's one here.
There ain't an order lots of gin. Just came and got it out of a bathtub, so you ought to like it. Like singing a little number entitled, You Didn't Love Me When You Had Me, Now That You've Lost Me, You Don't Love Me Either, Do You? Blues. Let's go, boys. After you've gone, and left me crying after you've gone, there's no denying you'll feel bad, you'll feel bad. You've been the sweetest guy you ever had. There'll come a time where you'll regret it. There'll come a time, and now you make the joint look sloppy. I look what you're doing. You know my love for you will drive me to ruin. After you've gone, oh boy.
Speakeasy days, those were busy ones for me because we had twin daughters, Jane and Phyllis. This is the way they looked when they were 9 years old. I used to have a lot of fun playing with them. When we went ice skating, I was so glad I had twins because I had one on each side to hold me up. You know, then we moved on through the 30s, and there were other dance fads. There was trucking, there was Susie Q, there was Shag, there was Big Apple. We'd like to show you a little bit of an old film that my husband produced of the Big Apple. Wasn't it? I was pretty good at Apple, but you know, swing music was really the rage then. Harlem took it over, and here's what they did with the Right about then, Latin America came along with some new sounds and some new rhythms. The rumba. And the conga. And the samba from Brazil. And now the dance craze today, the mambo. Out of all of those dances that we showed you, there is one that's most popular of all. It will never die out, the waltz. You're here. My husband left me so that I could say good night to you and thank you for coming to our Aunt Murray party. I'd like to thank Woman's Home Companion, too, for running the story of my life in their April issue.